bottom half. Blackburn Rovers, QPR, Reading, Stoke, Middlesbrough, Huddersfield, Birmingham City, Wigan, Hull.
Huddersfield's a little different because they had just gotten up there, and maybe they punched above their weight to even get up there.
Yeah, I mean, they were the sixth team they were the fourth team of the four to get into the relegation playoff, won both of their matches, got into the Premier League, and stuck it out for 2 seasons.
Yeah, I'll give them credit for hanging around. I don't think they're even in that Norwich kind of area. I think they're a lower tier club, so we'll leave them off. But the rest, yeah, Leeds for 16 years, according to Ragamuffin, dead on. 100%. Yeah, it's tough, and I think Bournemouth will understand who they are. So yeah, if they make that sale, they bring in that money on top of the parachute payment, they'll be fine, and they'll probably go back at some point. But they're not going to be somebody who sticks around the Premier League for a long time, and they're not going to try to spin their way into doing that either. I think they're going to be smart enough to realize they can't do that.
Yeah, when you're looking at Bournemouth, the number that always stuck out to me was that 85% of their television revenue went to paying player contracts. And for me, I want to see, along the lines of Nathan Ake, who else leaves, what the return is on these investments, and then how they apply those dollars. I mean, Bournemouth for me is one of the ones that I've got a bit of a yellow light on. It's not quite a red light when it comes to their future, but I am concerned about them and how they take their finances from the player distribution and how they continue to function as a championship club.
Yeah, I got a red light. Sky Sports News, breaking. Saudi Arabia's public investment fund, PCP Capital Partners, and Reuben Brothers have withdrawn from the process to buy Newcastle United.
Henry Morris, go in now.
Whew. This is a wild day already.
And good morning.
Seriously, a statement with a deep appreciation for the Newcastle community and the significance of its football club. We have come to the decision to withdraw our interest in acquiring Newcastle United Football Club. That is coming from Saudi Arabia's Public Investment Fund, PCP Capital Partners, and Reuben Brothers. We do so with regret, as we were excited and fully committed to invest in the great city of Newcastle and believe we could have returned the club to the position of its history, tradition, and the fans' merit. Ultimately, during the unforeseeably prolonged process, the commercial agreement between the investment group and the club's owners expired, and our investment thesis could not be sustained, particularly with no clarity as to the circumstances under which the next season will start and the new norms that will arise for matches, training, and other activities. So, of course, they are trying to move it to, yeah, we're going to back out because we don't know what's going to happen next year, and we don't know what the money's going to look like, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. Mm-hmm. Sure. Whatever. Walk away and leave Newcastle alone.
I wish you could just shut your big yapper.
That is 100% correct, because that's a load of nonsense. You are not going to get approved. What's that?
Bunk?
That would be bunk, yes. You are not going to get approved. That part was obvious. Your attempts to play politics with everything going on with all of this have been whiplash-inducing.
Behind the curtain.
It's been absurd. So, yeah, they're trying to save face, but, yeah, it wasn't going to happen. Sorry, Alex Pacine. I do agree that one way or the other, the pain needed to end. Now you need to go sell. Where is Henry Morris and Clear TV?
Mm-hmm.
He should be sitting outside the office right now.
Like John Cusack can say anything with the radio over his head?
What song would he be playing to try to get Mike Ashley's attention to buy Newcastle United?
Oh, the Shane McMahon intro music.
He could be playing that.
Here comes the money.
He could be playing Money by Pink Floyd.
True.
He could. No, I got it. He should be playing Money Ain't a Thing by Jermaine Dupri and Jay-Z, because he's got the money.
Yeah.
He doesn't need the public investment fund from Saudi Arabia. He could be playing In Your Eyes, according to Alex Pacine.
Yeah, I was going to say, that was,
I mean, you could just go straight with the scene, but he needs to play money ain't a thing because he needs to tell Mike Ashley, look, I already offered you more money. Where am I cutting the check?
He's not allegedly bootlegging Premier League coverage for his Clear TV subscribers.
Clear
either.
TV is not bootlegging Premier League coverage. That is correct. That can be confirmed. So there is no piracy issue going on.
You could be on a boat 2 miles offshore and have Clear TV plugged into your monitor. You still won't be getting Premier League coverage bootleg.
You ain't getting it. Wow. So we got Newcastle back in play for ownership. We got Gianni Infantino in trouble with the Swiss courts. Zlatan Ibrahimovic says he's like Benjamin Button. This is a crazy day.
Odds that Zlatan goes to Monza?
I think he stays in Milan next year, actually.
Okay.
I think they want to keep that thing together. I don't know if they should. I don't know if the returns are going to decrease, but man, he's been good for him so far. I'll totally admit it. I didn't think it would be.
And Nick says that apparently Berlusconi has said that Netflix is going to be chasing Monza for one of their reality series.
Bring it. I'm going to need Nick Alifi and Jared _Smith because they're like, we have the chat room here with Twitch.
Yes.
And like Jarrett and Nick are over in like the green room or something. They're in a VIP room, and I can't keep spinning from room to room and place to place. Join in the chat room, guys.
I mean, I've got the green room up and running, so I know what they're talking
about.
No.
They start popping off like I didn't know the robot had a name for Fox. I don't keep up with robot names, Jarrett Smith. Man. Although I do have a very good one with, and we might need to do this as a topic for tomorrow because there's way too much whiplash going on today. Right. The top sports theme songs. That's a good one from Jared.
Yeah, that is a good one. Okay,
so we might get into that.
Write that down for tomorrow.
Okay.
New sheet of paper. Top sports theme songs. This way I don't forget it.
Yes, please do.
All right, so that's on the sheet for tomorrow. I've got that. So yeah, no, I've got the green room right here, so I know what they're talking about.
Yeah, no, I try to check in from time to time, but man, it gets out of hand. It's a crazy day. We'll see what else comes out about Newcastle. We'll fill you in on that probably more tomorrow because I would assume a lot more comes out the rest of the day here. Katie Weaver did not realize there was an SDH VIP room. You got to talk to Jarrett and Nick about that.
Yeah, that's a different set of curtains. Andrea Pirlo has now been named the new under-23 coach for Juve.
Yeah, that we've talked about that before.
That's officially official now. They put out the tweet, so it's official.
So Ricky and Katie, I think what's really going on is the Twitch chat room is the champagne room. Okay. It's the VIP room.
Got it.
Jarrett and Nick are being antisocial.
Okay, so Jarrett and Nick, or were Jarrett and Nick? They're in the line outside, and the bouncer isn't letting them in because their names aren't on the list, and so they're just having their own conversation, waiting for someone to tap the bouncer on the shoulder and say, "Yeah, let him in."
Could be it. They could be in the quarantined room. We don't know.
Okay, so they're in the queue room.
They're in that room, like, you know how you have to get your temperature checked before you go in anywhere, like, and if it's hot outside, your temperature is probably going to be a little bit hotter. If you just walked across a long parking lot and it's hot and you're sweating, temperature is going to be a little hot. Yeah, you need a cooling room.
Yes,
they're in the cooling room. Yes, Ragamuffin, you are in the Roxbury. That is true. The Twitch chat room is the Roxbury.
Everybody.
No, John. No. You're going to hurt yourself.
I just did. Nathan Pugh is in this morning.
What's up, Nathan?
Up the Reds, that is all. And so he apologizes about the result with Brentford and Swansea yesterday. So he says, sorry for your Swans.
Hadn't even got into that.
He said, Brewster tried. The Prem doesn't need another London team, so go Cardiff. Will you do what's best for the greater good and cheer for the Bluebirds? #Thursday Thoughts, Nathan. The answer is no.
Yeah, I got a soft spot for Fulham because of Brian McBride.
Yeah.
Because of Clint Dempsey. Because of Carlos Bocanegra. Eddie Johnson. Marcus Hahnemann. Did Casey Keller spend a little bit of time with Fulham?
I believe that's correct.
I think he did. A whole bunch of Americans who've gone through
For
Fulham.
me, I can't do that because A, I'm a member of the Swans Trust, and you can't root for the other team because that's like being on one side of an Iron Bowl, and then when the team that you're not is playing for a national championship, you sit there and it's like, yeah, go SEC. No, that doesn't work.
No, can't do that.
No, can't do that. That's like you rooting for Florida in a national championship environment.
That's gross.
That's what I'm saying.
That's disgusting. That ain't happening.
I can't do that. So Nathan, you're on your own, and so it's going to be Brentford against Cardiff or Fulham. Looks like it's going to be Fulham. That is this afternoon on the Plus to get that on for sure.
I think we've figured out the rooms now. We've got it sorted out thanks to
what's the rooms?
Well, according to Adam, Twitch is the main room at Magic City.
Okay.
And Jarrett and Nick are hanging out in the kitchen getting wings. They're off to the side over here. They're not in the main room.
All right.
I'm just relaying thoughts from the main room over here. That's all.
And Nathan, I don't know if Ake's actually worth that much. I mean, that's a good question. I mean, is he worth 41? Don't know. Bournemouth got 41. They're not going to say no, because they need the capital. And if they can get 41 for Nathan Ake, I want to see who else is on the board and what they get for them now that Ake has set this bar. That's what I want. I want to know what the rest of the layout's going to be.
Ricky Ricardo, you place your wing order with DoorDash.
There
Depending on where you're at, if they deliver to you. They delivered to me, and it was quite tasty. And I will have to try a different flavor next week. All right, what else on Twitter as we do start to wind down until something else crazy happens?
Ricky Ricardo has linked to video of Joseph Martinez kicking a ball from distance.
Whoa, okay, I didn't expect that this morning. Good grief.
Yeah, well, it's just ball control. It's about a 6-foot ball control drill, and video is out. Joseph kicking a ball. So there you go.
These are good things.
ATL UTD Fan TV has the video that Ricky linked to.
These are very good things. I don't know what kind of timeline you're talking about, but yeah, that's a good step. We've seen him more and more active, so we'll see. That's going to affect this upcoming transfer window because you might not have to go get a forward. You might still want to go get a forward. Kubo Torres is one that's been in play. We'll have to see where that could go. He is out of contract, so you're not paying a transfer fee, although he is on the allocation list, which means you're going to have to move up in the allocation order because you're number 21. The closer Joseph is to coming back would probably mean the less likely you would want to give up much to move up that allocation order. I'm just assuming. Chris Ashley said, I can't have my wife knowing I'm hanging out in the main room at Magic City every day. Yeah, that's a good point.
It's the main room at SDH City.
Something like that.
Yeah, Rich Ransom wants to know, was FDB given enough time to look for a Joseph replacement?
Whew. I think the timeline, I don't know if there really was going to be much of a Joseph replacement, to be honest, especially with him looking like he's killing it in rehab. It's tough. I mean, do I understand why Atlanta United is where it is in terms of the mutual parting with Frank de Boer and starting fresh? Absolutely. I get it. And from all the things we're hearing about dysfunction and not getting along and those kinds of things, if that's not going away, it's a matter of time. Am I a little surprised at how fast everything went? Yeah, I'm surprised that it feels like maybe he wasn't ever given a chance to build that chemistry with the roster. And that's a shame. I think Frank de Boer can be a good coach. I think he showed that at Ajax, and it's hard to hold Inter and Crystal Palace against him because of the issues at those clubs. I mean, Inter was just a dumpster fire at that point, and Crystal Palace brought him in to change the way they play, and then got scared and went back on that, which you can't bring somebody in to change the way you play and then give it 5 games. That makes no sense. Those aren't comparable to what happened here. Here he had some success. I don't think he had as much success as he wanted in terms of the quality of play. I don't think it consistently got to where the team wanted. And when it's there and you can't find the way forward, and the way forward this year just might have been impossible. And that's what I kind of keep coming back to with this, is that this year highlighted the issues and exaggerated them to a degree, because you're incorporating new players. That's going to be hard. That takes time. I think Frank's style in general is one that builds over a season. And when you have this year where you have a 4-month break and you have your star striker go down, you can't build any of that. The problem was there wasn't a solution. And that is on Frank. Orlando, there's elements of that on Frank. There has to be, because the solutions weren't found to solve the problem. I don't think all of the problems were of his creation. So it's a tough spot. And I think that's why it's reported as a mutually, agreed upon parting of the ways, and why that's accurate. If Frank can't build the relationships he wants, if he doesn't feel like that's going to change, and if he feels like I can't make it better right now, well, then you have to make the change. And you get a new voice in. And we see so many times that a new voice can build new relationships. You've shed any of the issues that were there before. And Stephen Glass can come in and do that to begin with. And then a new manager, you go out into the market, you find who you want. You learned from this, and you can adapt to what you saw here. I don't think it was nearly as bad as a lot of people, I think, are trying to portray it right now. But was it going to get better? Sounds like both sides agreed that it wasn't.
We are officially caught up on Twitter. I reserve the right to come back before the end of the show. What's going on Twitch?
Okay. Bart on Twitch says, would it be easier to bring up Lopez or Conway instead of sign a rent-a-forward for the rest of the season? Let's leave Lopez to the side, because the way that's structured, I don't know how you do it at the moment, because he is coming to Atlanta United 2 on loan before he joins the first team next year, and I would assume that would be a permanent transfer. I'm assuming this is in a large way down to availability of cap space and all those kinds of things. So let's leave that to the side, because the only way you could bring him up would be to do the transfer now, or if the rules change, and we just have no way to know that. Conway you could do, because you could sign Conway to a homegrown contract. You have a supplemental roster spot. So there's room to do that. You could sign him to an MLS deal. He could still play with Atlanta United too, depending on how those movements go this season, which is different than usual. But, yeah, you could do that easily. It wouldn't be challenging for the roster. Do you want to do that right now? Because you have one spot for a homegrown at the moment. I would assume that you've got quite a few people who are pushing for that spot. Conway's one of them. Garrison Tubbs could be one of them. Will Riley could be one of them. Coleman Gannon's young, but is pushing himself into that conversation faster and faster. Mm-hmm. You could sign Conway to do that if you wanted to. But then you're also looking at Lopez or Conway. Are they better than Adam John? Are they better than J.J. Williams? Lopez has played 16 professional games. Conway's played, and that was in the first division in Paraguay. Conway's played 23, 24 in the USL Championship over the last year and a half. Are they the answer either? I don't know. But you could do that with Conway. What Bart says, yes, you could. I don't know if you want to do that. I don't know if you're going to need to with the rent-a-forward thing. Because if Joseph is doing what he's doing, how much further away is he?
Yeah.
And they're not going to push him. They're not going to, risk anything. But that's really good progress from him. So if you're going to do anything in that regard, yeah, Conway might be the one that makes sense. But I don't know if you're going to need to do it, because I don't know if it makes you better yet, unless you've just decided that John or Williams doesn't help you, and I don't know if that's done either. I think Adam John can definitely help you. Mm-hmm. I was surprised we didn't see him for more extended periods of time in Orlando. That was one of the biggest surprises to me. I expected more. Katie Weaver talking about Lansing Common, asked if we had talked about it. Great crest, fun rollout. Katie has lots of family in Lansing, hopeful that they can have a team there that doesn't implode. I actually bought a Lansing Common T-shirt. It's coming. That was
Oh, yeah?
one that, yeah. The designer of the crest, I believe, is an Atlanta United fan. It is a cool logo. It's a cool crest. And they're trying to rebuild after what happened with Lansing Ignite. Well, that team's dead, John. That's not good.
But that's why I picked it up.
You picked it up because they're dead.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't you pick up stuff from teams that are trying to live?
I could do that too.
Okay. Let's help Lansing Common out.
All right.
So,
That crest, that's pretty nice.
yeah, it's pretty good. So, yeah, we're actually, there you go. We'll take the, since we're talking about rooms, we'll take the production room and bring it here for a second. John, since he is the master of the 1v1s with lower division teams, is going to reach out to Lansing Common, and we're going to have a 1v1 with Lansing Common. Okay. Done, Katie.
All right.
It's one of those days. Oy.
Writing that down.
Yeah. Okay. Twos are super fun, according to Tesco. Can't wait to see Lopez with the twos. Same here. Any update on Fabian Johnson from Adam from 816? No, he's one I haven't heard anything about for a little while.
Yeah.
I'll be curious to see what happens with him. I know Cincinnati was at least in on him for a while, but I don't know where that stands. That's a good question. As we wrap up, John, tonight, Philadelphia sporting Kansas City. Philadelphia is still being disrespected by the odds makers, but this one is a little more realistic, although I think the number's exaggerated. Sporting, according to BetMGM, minus 106, Philadelphia plus 280. What do you think about this match tonight?
I'm going to ride Philadelphia. I really am. I had them, but I think it's going to go. I think it's going to go to penalties. Odds portal, our aggregate service, has Sporting at plus 100 and Philadelphia at plus 252. I'm going to go with Philadelphia, and I am going to go penalties.
I'm going with Sporting. I picked them to win this thing before the tournament. I'm rolling with it. I think it'll be a really good match. I like both of these managers. I think they both approach it in different ways, so it should set up for a good contrast. Sporting's 4-3-3 and Philadelphia's Diamond 4-4-2. Shooter McGavin, I've been wondering where you were, my friend. Definitely pulling for Sporting. So Shooter and Adam from 816 are hanging out watching this one. Shooter says, and I'm going to read Shooter's quotes.
Okay.
Philadelphia sucks. They robbed us and paid off the refs. Wow. The refs have something against Bruce. Remember, Shooter's our New England Revolution correspondent.
Does anyone know what's going on here?
Bruce, you got folks who are in your corner.
Yep. I don't know about all that, Shooter, but Bruce wasn't happy. He got the blurry mouth.
Oh, see, blurry mouth. Do we get a blurry mouth redo tonight?
With Vermees and Curtin from Vermees, possibly. Unless we get another, world-class GIF out of Peter Vermees, which I am always in for. Where he uses something that would get a blurry mouth, but he uses it in three different ways in
it's like it was
20 seconds.
It was a declarative,
yep,
an interrogative,
yep,
and an imperative.
It was amazing.
And by the way, just purchased my Lansing Common stuff. I the scarf and the adult T-shirt.
Okay, there you go. And let's get them for a 1v1 so we can learn a little bit more and we can share it with the crowd. Right. Kyrie Shelton questionable tonight, according to Adam. Shooter's still fired up. They didn't give him the corner to end that game, which is weird. We had that happen in Atlanta United too as well, and it was a little surprising. That would have gone for Memphis for a free kick. That is very strange. I don't get it. I don't understand that.
Was not pleased.
What's that?
Reese Buckmaster was not pleased.
No, not pleased for Memphis. Blurry mouth Bruce Arena was not pleased for the New England Revolution. It's always a weird thing when that happens.
Yes.
All right. We're going to call it here because who knows what else could happen today. There are some other things outside of the soccer universe, and I'm going to follow Abby's lead and watch some of the coverage of the funeral of John Lewis. We've talked about it before. I've mentioned it on a lot of different things. This back here is probably one of my most prized possessions. It is a certificate of special congressional recognition that John Lewis gave me. And it was because of the work with Soccer in the Streets. And he was probably one of the most, I mean, comparing fame between like music and sports and politics and civil rights, it's hard, but he's maybe one of the most famous people I've ever had the opportunity to meet. Yeah. And he was the most amazing person I've ever met because he made you feel like the honor was his. And it wasn't. But that's how he made you feel. And he went out of his way to meet with us. So with Soccer in the Streets, we did stuff with the U.S. Soccer Foundation, which is based in D.C. And when we would have our symposiums up in D.C., they would book meetings for us with our Congress people on the Senate and the House side. And, everybody was different. There were some who didn't have time to ever meet with us. And, hey, I get it. They're busy. There were some that had us meet with their chief of staff, which was great, and we'd talk about what we were doing and what kind of support we could use and ask advice on just what was out there that could help us. Johnny Isaacson actually took time to come in and say hello and meet with us, which was very cool. He was one of the few. Hank Johnson sat down with us for a long while, and we talked about Clarkston. But 2 different years. The first year we went, Jill Robbins and I had the chance to go to John's office. Oh, no, I'm trying to remember the difference. It wasn't his usual office. I believe it was his office. I don't know if it was the Capitol building or not. I think it was. It was an office that usually you don't get to go meet with people at. Like it's usually not where constituents get to go meet. Now, unfortunately, something happened and he was called back home, but we sat with his chief of staff for a long time talking about everything, and they clued us in on all kinds of different things that we could do to help the organization, help the kids. The next year, we had a larger delegation from Georgia, and he was taking the time again to meet with us himself personally, which a lot of times it's meeting with staff. He took the time to meet with us personally. As we were going in, he was called to vote. I think it was one of the funding votes. So it was the Capitol one. Yes, thank you, Abby. That was the one where we got a chance to meet. We were going to meet him, but it was his chief of staff because he got called back to Atlanta for something at the very last minute. And he was, his chief of staff, and he sent us an apology. And it's like, no, it's okay. But the second year, we were going to meet with him at his regular office. And as we're going in, he's coming out because he has to go vote. I think it was one of the funding votes that he had to go vote for. And he said, I'm going to do this. I'll be back as soon as I can. Please, if you can, give me an opportunity to get back. I'd love to meet with you. And it took a while. I think the vote got held up. There's all kinds of stuff. But we sat and talked to his staff for a long time. He came back after being away for a vote for a long time. And he sat and he talked with us for, I want to say an hour. And knew everything that was going on with, youth sports and youth development in the area. It was amazing. And again, he made, he treated us like we were the rock stars in the scenario. So just an amazing guy. It's been very cool to be able to say that, I have that, but also just very cool that, he's been my representative for a long time in Congress. And I have not had a chance to read the piece that was published this morning that he wanted to be published on the day of his funeral. I'm going to do that after we're done here. But yeah, it's a sad day, and in some ways it's an inspiring day because of the life that he led. And hopefully that can inspire others to try to reach that standard, because he was an incredible man. And read up on it. Read up on him. Read up on his life. Read up on his way of life. And it's pretty powerful stuff. So we're going to wrap up because I want to make sure I catch all of this. And we'll be back tomorrow to talk about all this other craziness in the soccer world that is going on. I'm sure there's going to be more on Newcastle. I'm sure there's going to be more on Johnny Infantino. Who knows what else? We'll talk about Philadelphia and Sporting Kansas City as well. So Thank you, everybody, for hanging out with us. It is a lot of fun. The main room, the green room, the private room, the kitchen room, all of y'all. Thanks for hanging out. We'll be back tomorrow. Mucha plata, y'all.